Coming up next, I'll give you some reasons why it's time for you to change jobs. And we'll talk about how to fail. We'll take your calls and your chats. It starts right now. Coming to you live from Ramsey Studios in Nashville, I am Ken, thrilled to have you with us. You're joining a conversation about who you are, what you were created to do, where you want to do it, and how you can get there. It is about your purpose. You were created to fill a unique role. That means you are really valuable. But it also means that you must show up and be the best version of you. Somebody out there actually needs you to show up and be you. We're talking about contribution, and we're talking about contribution through your work. We're talking about living and working on purpose, connecting that personal mission to your professional vision. Oh, it's exciting, I promise. And you have the answers. It's my job to pull them out of you. So whether you are just kind of kicking the tires on this show, or you've been listening and watching for a while, it is, in fact, about you, and you can call right now. You're a phone call away. Madison is standing by, 844-747-2577, 844-747-2577. You can also submit your questions via the chat window there next to the video window, and we'd love to hear from you. All right. Saw a great article from Business Insider about changing jobs during COVID. And I thought, oh, this is great. I've been talking about this, that for many of you, when COVID kicked you out of the nest, it really is going to become, or for some of you, it already has become, the nudge that you needed. And so this article is all about multiple reasons why COVID is a great time to change jobs. So we'll go through a few of them. But let me set some context. Employees who still have full-time jobs are increasingly planning to exit these roles. Quinex did a study. They are a workforce management platform in Boston. They released a study recently called The State of the Deskless Workforce. The study conducted in April found that 18% of deskless workers said they plan to leave for better benefits and new opportunities. Now, some of the fields that we're talking about are retail and healthcare. They're just looking at going, hey, so there's a high percentage of people in retail or in healthcare that are looking for different opportunities. Maury Fontanez, the CEO of 822 Group, cited in the article, said that these times of uncertainty and transition are beneficial. Crisis is an opportunity, she said. It asks us to pause and look deeply and honestly at all the things we've been doing day in and day out without really thinking about whether those things fulfilled us, played on our strengths, or aligned with our own purpose. Does that sound familiar, Ken Coleman Show? Listeners, yes, it does. So, what are a couple of the reasons? Well, this is the time to get curious. Because uncertainty is already in your head and in your life, you're already forced to look at options, transitions, things of that nature. So go ahead and get more purposeful in being curious about what could be and what should be. Online classes, never more prevalent, never cheaper. An opportunity for you to build new and transferable skills. The reality is people are still connecting. Now they're doing it online more than ever. It's easier than ever to connect. And good news, we saw this in May and June, jobs are returning. It's time. It's time for you to say, you know what? Life is too short to work in a dead-end job. The average American will work 90,000 plus hours in their lifetime. And if you're not doing something that you're good at, plus that you love, that creates a result that matters to you, now's the time. Let's go ahead and start making the moves necessary to work and live on purpose. 844-747-2577 is the number, 844-747-2577. Let's go to Medford, Oregon. Amanda joins us there. Amanda, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken.
Amanda, how are you?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I am living the dream. What's up?
Good. Hey, I have a question. What do you do when the system is designed to not to not allow favoritism or use of connections?
Explain.
So, like for law enforcement, when you're applying for law enforcement, my husband, he's been applying for law enforcement and just pursuing his dream of going into law enforcement for the last 2 years. We have several friends that are currently in law enforcement, and repeatedly we're constantly told that, you know, the whole system, and we've seen with the hiring process, you know, those connections don't really count.
Okay. I hear the words you're saying, but I don't understand, because I feel like I've talked to many people in law enforcement that can work relationships. So can you be more specific about what the actual limitation is?
That's a good question.
Like, is somebody telling you you're not allowed to make connections?
Oh, no.
I don't understand. Help me out. I'm missing something.
I guess.
Let me start over. Okay. So you want to get into law enforcement, correct?
My husband, yeah.
Oh, your husband wants to get into law enforcement, and he's not in it currently, correct?
Correct.
And what's the challenge again? He's not allowed to make connections, or people aren't allowed to endorse him and say, hey, this guy's a great guy. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. I guess the endorsement part, yeah.
When you say they're not allowed to endorse, you mean another police officer is not allowed to go to the hiring police officer and say, let me tell you about Amanda's husband. They're not allowed to do that.
The system is designed to not allow them to do that.
Okay.
Like for example, we had an interview. Mm-hmm. We had like the background visits, and they come to your home, they talk to our friends and family, and then the officer writes the report, and then they send this report to a different area.
Okay.
And based on that report, they decide whether you go to the next process or not.
Okay. So they won't. So they don't. They don't actually go and talk to other people in the department who might know you or your husband.
Not that we've seen, no.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. I was so struggling to understand it, because I think my brain's struggling to process what I'm hearing. And it's not that I don't believe you. I just don't believe somebody's told you that, or you've read this in a policy somewhere. Help me out.
Both. So we have a couple friends that are in law enforcement, and they're like, given my husband suggestions. So my husband, for example, like went back to school and did some volunteering things, ride-alongs. But they said, you know, the whole system is designed to base the hiring on you, not who you know. Okay. All right. Now I've got it. So what do you do? Well, you can't do what I teach. That's the part of the problem. You know, it's kind of like, so in this situation, I guess you have to try to build up strong character references. I guess at some point they're going to do some homework on you and on him. Oh, yeah. So that's where, again, I'm confused. I'm so sorry. I wasn't good at math, and this is an algebra problem that I'm struggling to get, because how can they do it based on you and not do any research on you and find out who you know, or who knows you, rather? So, yes, you can't work the proximity principle the traditional way, apparently. So what do? Well, you do only what you can do, and that is he gets as much training as he possibly can. You look at what qualifications they're looking for, and he's trying to be an A student there, because if they aren't willing to take into account, hey, we got 3 officers on the force who know this guy, then I don't know what else you can do. I'm not much help to you there. You do what they tell you you're supposed to do, and you do it really well. Does that make sense? Yeah, sure. I'm still having the hardest time, though, how they wouldn't do background on you. And go ahead. They do extensive background, but it's just that those connections, yes, they're checking your character, but I just don't. Well, again, I don't feel like it's a traditional proximity principle. I get it, but I can't do anything about that. You're telling me that your husband's in a world that they don't allow that to happen. I don't believe that. I still believe there's a way around it. And I believe that when you're giving them information, that if you were to tell them, well, we know this officer and this officer and this officer, if they choose not to do anything with that, they don't do anything with that. But they're human beings. How could they not register that? That's my point. Why don't you put the onus on them? You know?
Okay.
That's what I would do. And I wouldn't listen to all the other officers and their advice. Well, it's not done this way. Well, I don't care. You know, we have a value that we try to live here at Ramsey Solutions, and that is shoot sacred cows. Now, if you've never heard that language before, it sounds very violent and insensitive. Please don't send me your email. I'm not going to read it. It's not violent and it's not insensitive because we're not actually shooting cows. So everybody relax. But the reality is that the phrase means, well, the cow's been around forever. It's like let's say it's a golden calf, a statue, okay? And well, it's just been around forever. Why is it there? Well, nobody knows. It's always been there. That's the point. There's no real reason behind it that makes any sense at all. It's just the way we do it. And in my mind, I feel like you've been fed some sacred cow, and I'd spit it out, and I would do everything you can anyway to make your husband stand out, and he needs to do the same. 844-747-2577. Let's go to Marie, who joins us in Grand Rapids. Marie, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi. How are you today?
I'm living the dream, Marie. What's up?
Great. So I am a 50-year-old nurse practitioner, and prior to becoming a nurse practitioner, I was in nursing administration. I spent my career in geriatrics, and I have no hospital experience. But I really want to return to administration and want to be in a hospital system, whether it be in quality or a chief nursing officer. It's really what I enjoy the most, and quite frankly, it's really what I'm best at.
Yeah.
And I was recently accepted to a prestigious university. It's one that I've always wanted to be an alum, but never felt that I was smart enough to get in. And I have several siblings, and they actually are all graduates of the same university. The program that I've been admitted to is a 5-semester master's program with a focus on leadership, innovation, and analytics, and it's something I'm super excited about.
Good.
But the caveat is that it would cost about $65,000 for these 5 semesters total.
Wow.
My spouse has a progressive neurological disorder, and shortly before I was found out that I was admitted to the university, he stopped working. So now we're down to one income. He's really supportive of my return to school. He understands how important it is to me, but he doesn't understand the 100%, 100% the financial impact that it'll have on us. And we can afford it, but it will really strain the budget quite a bit. And I can get some employee assistance as well as I've secured a scholarship for a little bit of help.
Good.
But given that I'm 50 and looking at the big picture, financially, I'm not sure it's 100% worth it. Like, it might be a lateral move, so to speak, from a financial standpoint. My other thought is professionally, I'll have 2 master's degrees, and that may overqualify me because knowing all along that I've wanted to go back to administration, I've been trying to build my CV and putting in more administrative roles along with my nurse practitioner role. And so I'm concerned that I'll be overqualified for a position, other than the fact that it would make me super excited and it would be a personal achievement that I've graduated from this particular university. I'm not really sure, again, professionally and financially, if it's in my best interest.
Yeah, well, I have a strong opinion on this, but let me just ask one clarifying question. When you said it would be tough on the budget, but you can't afford it, are you talking about cash flowing it, or are you talking about debt?
Oh, cash flowing it.
Okay, well, look, if you can cash flow it, and you can scrape by, and your husband's on board, then I'm not going to say that you shouldn't do this. What I am going to address is it worth it? And I'm going to tell you, I don't think it's worth stretching to the point that you're very uncomfortable and very tight, because the fact of the matter is, you said it's going to be a lateral move financially. So the degree itself isn't going to propel you forward financially. It's not going to make that much of a difference. The other issue is you've got great experience. I feel like the only thing you're lacking is the hospital system. That's what you brought up.
Correct.
But the administration, you've got tons of experience. So whether it's the chief nursing officer or a different, you said a quality control or quality area, the fact of the matter is you've got a lot of experience leading people. And I don't think that the degree is going to make you any more attractive of a candidate. I don't think I've heard you make that case either.
Right. Okay.
Am I right?
Yeah.
So look, the answer is it's not worth it.
Right.
It's not worth it.
Okay.
It's just not because of what's going on in your financial life. You know, your hubs is in a tough situation. You know, I just look at the two futures. Let's look at the two futures. If the degree doesn't get you there any faster and it doesn't give you any more financial benefit, then what you've essentially done is you spent $65,000 on something that makes you really proud, which I get that. Okay, I'm not trivializing your emotion on that. However, what if you live that tight on purpose and you paid yourself instead of paid a school? And you put that 65 away in the form of retirement investing. And here you are living your dream at 50, at 60, at 65, whenever you want to shut it down, and you spent that money on yourself, and you didn't feel the stress with your husband going through an already debilitating health situation. I see no benefit at all. None.
Okay.
And here's the other thing. Nobody cares but you. And I'm not trivializing this. I want to give you perspective. Nobody cares if you got a degree from that school. You've already got one master's. You don't need two. Life's too short to keep getting masters. Go do the work you love and enjoy life. Pay yourself a little bit. You also don't know what's ahead with your husband's health. So that 65 could come in handy.
Right.
So I'm going to tell you, no, it's not worth it.
Okay.
And I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
For you really chasing what you love, and it's right there, and you're totally qualified. You know it, and I know it. So, you know what? Take an online class or two from the school. Something that makes you better.
Right.
You don't have to take the whole degree. Cherry pick a couple classes and then tell everybody, I took some classes from so and so. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Who cares if you graduated from there? You're a student. Yeah, I took some classes there, and you get the feeling of alumni without paying for it. How about that?
Yeah, right.
You know, and you actually get some valuable courses, because I do think that the classes, some of the classes in that degree you mentioned, could be very valuable for you. So how about that? Let's make that the happy medium. Sound good?
Sure. Sounds great.
Marie, you're awesome. Thank you for the call. 844-747-2577. 844-747-2577. Let's go to the chat room. Zachary writes in, hey, Ken, is it a good idea to take a non-dream job at an organization to work myself into the dream job? Or is it better to focus on getting something more closely related to the dream job? Well, I feel like we got a 50-50 here, the way I'm reading this. So, short answer is, sure, it's totally okay to take a day job if it puts you in position to get the dream job. Now, the other scenario in this is, or should I focus on getting something more closely related to the dream job? Depends which one moves you there quicker. Which one becomes the best path? And if you look at it, you go, well, Ken, that's a tie. 50% this way, 50% this way. There's no clear winner. Then take the one that's available to you now. Jacob writes in, I sent an application in for a developer job about 14 days ago, and they've not gotten back to me. I have a letter saying that I'm still very much interested in the role. Do you think I should send it, or is it too early? I like the handwritten letter. Well, I'm sorry. You didn't say handwritten. I just went all old school. Handwritten letter. Did you write it with a feather? I don't know, Joe, but you get my point. I like following up with a letter. That's fine. I don't think that's obnoxious, because a touch point through the mail is considered the least, obnoxious way to reach out. And it's another reminder. So sure. And I would also recommend that you go just read the Touchpoint Timeline, which is a free resource at kencoleman.com. It's how to follow up after the interview. In this situation, you're kind of going, how should I follow up after the initial submission? So take some advice from that resource. James writes in, how do you go about starting a new job when you are struggling with job training? I'm trying to show I'm putting in the work. It's photo and film. Well, you got to ask yourself the question, why am I struggling? You know what? Can we get Nathan on the mic here? I want to get Nathan's input on this. Because I don't know some of the stuff. So Nathan is a video director. He directs the show here on YouTube. And Madison, I want you to weigh in as well. All right? Okay, because I just need a little context for this question. Reread it because they're back there working. So James writes in, how do you go about starting a new job and you're struggling with the job training? I'm trying to show that I'm putting in the work. It's photo and film. So I don't know if this is photography and film or if this is video and film, but if you're in a technical job like this, my thought, Nathan and Madison, was I want him to ask himself, do I have the core talent to be able to do this? Is he struggling with just the basics, or is he struggling with how to do it their way? Both of you have been in radio and video. What are your thoughts, Nathan?
I'd say volunteer as much as you can.
Yeah.
Get in around the right people, and eventually those gigs will come to you. But you just have to prove yourself and put in a grind.
Well, he's actually training on the job, and he's struggling with it. So if you were on the video team, and we're training you how to, I remember David Wilkinson passed over the reins to you, and you're struggling with the technical aspects. Is that because it's a new process, or is it that maybe you just don't have the chops? You have any thoughts on that?
I think it depends on if you're able to understand it.
Don't
be afraid to ask questions
if
you don't get it.
Okay, good.
Be humble and really pursue it.
All right, good. So it could be a function where he's just not understanding it. You also learned radio too. Thoughts?
Yeah, I would say that my biggest question for him would be, is it because you don't feel like you have the chops? Is it imposter syndrome a little bit?
Yes.
Because if you got the job, you're talented enough.
Yeah.
Are you just feeling like you can't measure up?
Yeah. Good. All right. And I agree with both of you. What I wanted to understand is, I'm not a technical guy. So if you put me in a technical role like that, I'm the guy that it's not imposter syndrome. I may not understand how to do it. And I think, Nathan, your thoughts, Madison, you're right as well. This idea of ask a lot of questions here and go, listen, I've got the core skills, but I'm not understanding how we're doing it this way. Joe, when you started, you had to learn a completely new editing software. So you knew how to do tons of editing.
3 different software systems.
3 different software systems. And you had been editing sound and audio for how long?
Let's see. What do they call it? Razor blades and tape?
Okay. I don't even know what any of that means.
Yes. You physically splice the tape.
You've been doing it that long.
It means he's old.
All right.
That's one definition.
But here's the deal. So, Joe, you had to ask a lot of questions. I remember.
Oh, yeah?
You had to go, hey, I know how to do editing. I don't know how to do it in this system. I think it's Nathan's talking about asking lots of questions. And Madison, thank you. Really good. That's good advice. Some of this could be you're just struggling because we all struggle when we learn something new. Most of us, at least I do. You know what I mean? So good stuff there. All right, back to the phones in just a few moments, but I want to teach on how to fail. And this is kind of timely for James. So I was thinking about this recently. And Joe, it turns out I've got a lot of experience with failure. And so I was thinking there's 2 schools of thought on failure that I see on the internet, thought leaders, things like that, right? And then there's just the average psychological wrestling, if you will, with failure. So let's talk about the human condition. Failure is scary. Oh, gosh, it's going to hurt. It's going to sting. It's not going to be fun. People are going to see me fail. They're going to make fun of me. I'm going to look like a loser, whatever. That's the natural resistance to failure that all human beings have. Okay. Then if we go into the personal growth space and the thought leader space that I'm in, there's lots of stuff. Hey, don't be afraid of failure. Failure is a part of progress. And that's right. I've said that on this program. So, hey, a friend of mine, John Maxwell, wrote a book called Failing Forward. He retitled it years later, and it's entitled, Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn. That's the new title. And so there's lots of, hey, look, embrace failure. But I started thinking about it, if I believe that to be true, and I do, that failure is part of progress and that we need to embrace failure, there needs to be some practical steps. So I'm just going to give you 3 ways to fail. So knowing that I'm going to fail and there's no way around it if I'm moving forward and making progress, that failure is a part of it. Okay, we all know that. Thanks. Appreciate that. That's a good mindset and expectation to have. But how do we fail? There's 3 ways to fail. Every time you fail, this is how you want to fail. All right, number 1, regularly. Because if I'm failing regularly, that means I am learning regularly. I am learning something new and then trying to do something with what I learned. And in that process, because it is new knowledge and it is a learned skill, I'm not going to be good at it right away. I'm going to fail. So fail regularly. That means, I am now no longer scared of failure. I'm working failure into my rhythms. So I'm failing on purpose. Failing regularly. Number 2, fail quickly. Oh my goodness. One of the things that I think that a lot of you that are entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs face is the idea of we don't try to fail quickly. We try to hang on as long as we possibly can. You know, like things start going wrong and we see the failure is coming on us. And what do? We just try to hold on and hold on and hold on and hold on, and we're slipping and we're letting go. It's getting closer and closer to falling, and we just hang on, and it does nothing for us. We knew we were going to fall. We tried as hard as we could not to fall. We should have just said, this isn't going to work. I'm going to fall. One of the shows that we love as the Coleman family is this new Steph Curry show. It's like putt-putt on steroids, and I can't think of the name of it. But it's a new show that Steph Curry has produced, and it involves physical challenges and then like a little putt-putt course. And the other night we were watching it. Holy Moly is what it's called. And the other night we were watching it, and Madison, you'll appreciate this. They had to hit this putt, and then they had to jump on a shark that swam around, and it was like they had to jump onto the shark, and if they landed on the shark, then the shark would take them over to where they would be deposited, and they just had to get on dry land. And if they fall off the shark into the water, they take a 1-stroke penalty. So think of it, it's putt-putt with a physical challenge. It's a wipeout. It's putt-putt meets wipeout. Thank you. So anyway, first gal, shark comes around, she jumps on it, and she misses it. She doesn't time it right. And so she's hanging on to the tail. Now, they don't count it against you if your feet are in the water, only if you fall off the shark. So we're watching her, and she's going round and round, and this shark's not slowing down. And she's hanging on to this thing, and it's slippery. And you can see, from the moment she jumped on it, it was obvious to all of us. She missed it. She mistimed it. She didn't have a good strategy, whatever. And she's hanging on for dear life. And everybody knows she's going to fall off. And it's fun and entertaining and a valiant, effort. I appreciate her hustle. But that's what I'm talking about. When we started something like that and we're just hanging on and we know we're going to fall off, there's no chance you can get back up, go ahead, and she should have let go. Instantly. What is she doing? She's exhausting herself. She's expending energy that she's going to need. It's not doing anybody any favors. Why do we need to be valiant in the face of failure? Just like, nope, I failed. Let's not prolong the failure. So fail quickly. Come up with scenarios where, all right, this isn't a long drawn out thing. This isn't a 2-year failure where we're just going to hope for a miracle. No, I'm going to give this 30 days or 2 weeks or 1 day or whatever. We're going to try something. And if it fails, great news, it fails quickly. All right, that leads to the third way to fail, and that's inexpensively. Don't put all your financial eggs in one basket. Now, you've already set yourself up to get used to failure. You're going to try stuff and be okay with it. And you're going to get over it quickly. You're going to fail quickly. We're not going to draw this out. So certainly don't put a bunch of money in it either. So prototypes and ideas, don't spend a bunch of money on them. It is the process of failing regularly and quickly and inexpensively that we actually make progress quicker. The failure becomes so much more valuable. Think about it. If I fail regularly, I get over the fear of failure and I start to strategically plan how to test things. That's what we're talking about is failure. A scientist doesn't get upset by failure. A scientist goes into the lab going, failure is a part of the deal. And if I fail quickly, I get the information that I need. I get the lesson quicker. So I can get back up and do it again. And then inexpensively, I'm not setting myself back years and years and years, or destroying my financial reality and outlook. So, 3 ways to fail: regularly, quickly, and inexpensively. Boy, I've learned this the hard way. It took me a while to learn how to fail regularly. It took me a while to learn how to fail quickly. And it only took me once to learn how to fail inexpensively. It's not fun. So if you can look at it that way and say, wait a second, this is a strategy to actually take the sting out of failure. That's the silver lining. 844-747-2577, 844-747-2577. 2 things I want to tell you about at kencoleman.com. One is free and one is ridiculously discounted. First is the Career Clarity Guide. It's our latest resource, and it is essentially stage 1 worksheet. That's what it is, a stage 1 worksheet on getting clear. It's going to walk you through what I do with callers a lot, and those of you that are viewing: talent, passion, mission. Talent, what you do best. Passion, work you love to do most. Mission, results of your work that matter deeply to you. Great worksheet. Go get it, kencoleman.com/clarity, or it's on our resources page. And then we still have the #1 best-selling book, The Proximity Principle. The book we wrote came out last year, #1 on the Wall Street Journal. All 3 formats: hard copy with an autograph, ebook, and audiobook read by me. All 3 formats, $25. The actual hard copy is $20. So that's a screaming deal. KenColeman.com, only place you can get that. And if you're new to the program, you're going, what's the proximity principle? I'm glad you asked. This is what it says. In order to do what you want to do, we're talking professionally here, so fill in the blank. In order to do blank, you've got to be around people that are doing it and in places where it is happening. This is where opportunity meets you. Wandering around in the wilderness, waiting for somebody to discover you. Opportunities are coming to you like trains show up at a train station. That's what it is. It's a best-selling book, 5 people, 5 places, and then specific practices to employ around the right people and in the right places. So that is the book. That's what it's about. It is the secret to getting to where you want to go. 844-747-2577 is the number. Let's go to Raleigh, North Carolina next. Michael is there. Michael, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken. Thank you so much for taking my call.
You bet. What's up?
All right. I'll just get right to it. I'm in a field that I like, but I'm at a company that doesn't allow me to do my job. Mm-hmm. It was presented as an IT position, and it didn't turn out to be that. I got the job back in March, and ever since then, I've been trying to find a new position. I've been in contact with recruiters, and they just keep telling me we have nothing right now. I've tried to go back to the school I went to that provides career services. They have really nothing right now, and all the IT positions that are in Raleigh right now are very entry level, and I'm a little bit past entry level. So What do I do?
Well, you thought it was an IT job, and it's not. What does that mean specifically?
So pretty much when I was in the interview and the way the job was pitched to me, they made it out to be like I was going to be their in-house IT guy. And, it's part of that, but the other part is that I'm also a facilities manager, which is something that I've never really done before. And I would like to do...
Did you know that going in? Did you know going in that you were the facilities manager and also the IT guy?
They just said the role was going to be called a facilities manager, but my manager really made it out to be like, no, this is an IT position. This is an IT position.
How big of a company is it?
Very small.
That's what I thought. How much are you making?
$19.50 an hour, so about $40,000 a year.
Okay, $40K a year. And what is the job? I don't care about the title, but tell me what it is that you want to be doing all day long.
Project management in IT.
So project management in IT, right?
Yes.
So that means you're not actually fixing it. You're managing people that are fixing IT stuff. Help me understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Essentially, yeah.
And see, I got to tell you, I'm a little surprised by the number you're making based on what you told me to start the phone call. As I find it to be odd, you can't find a job making $40,000 right now in IT. If you were saying 150 to 180, and those top jobs were all full, because of contraction and because of COVID or whatever. But IT positions are still pretty hot from everything that I'm seeing. So I feel like we're missing something. But when you say, Ken, what do I do? My first thing is you need to sit tight until you find something. Because right now you're making 40 and you got a job. We now know it's not what they said it was going to be. However, it is a small business environment. So maybe things could change. Maybe things can evolve as you keep looking for something else. So you stay put and we start looking for something and we change our mindset to, I'm not going to be bitter. I'm going to let this opportunity make me better. And what can I learn from this? If there's anything to learn, is there anything to take away from it? I'm going to steel my resolve and say, you know what, I'm going to do the best job I can and be very valuable, hoping things change while I'm looking elsewhere. But you keep looking elsewhere. Because I will tell you, I think your prospects are very optimistic. To make 40 grand or more in the technology field, I think you keep looking. I don't think you rely on recruiters. In fact, I'm going to give you a copy of my best-selling book, The Proximity Principle. And you've got to really work your web of connections. I would read that chapter. It's in the practices in the last section of the book. And I wouldn't take, this, well, it's just recruiters are telling me there's nothing available. I don't buy that for a second. Is it going to be harder to find it right now? Yeah, possibly. But right now you sit tight and then you eventually leave. It's not what you thought it was going to be. Doesn't make you a bad person. You're not a flake. So you leave when you have something else to leave to. That is my advice. All right, folks, that's going to do it. But before I let you go, you matter. And you do have what it takes. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, this is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.